Okay. It's a bit herky-jerky, but it works. So explanation. I did a few things. I suspected, there is a few things that could be adjusted to get it to where both waves work. The first thing I did is the channel that runs the whole lengthwise. It still was just clean machined out, and it still had a lot of machining marks. So I went through that and polished up the base there, so the paws, which lay flat on that, it would have a smooth surface. I also polished the underside of each of the paws, so as they rub against the backside rubs against the channel and pivots on these points here, that point there and the one over here, that there's less friction in their sliding movement or their movement. I also polished each of the points again, and I polished the cam surface again. And you can see that it's a bit herky-jerky, and we'll work those things out later. Also, I also lightened the waves. I reshaped the waves, and I'm not done there. You'll notice that the motion of each wave is significant. It's probably like a 9-10 millimeters distance, and I know we don't need that much. So that's good news in that I can reshape the cam so that that the movement isn't as great. It's slighter. It's less, which means less work, less movement for the waves. That will be a good thing. That they don't have to. There's going to be less power needed to move the wave. Only maybe 4 or 5 millimeters, half the distance that we have. Also, the thickness of the titanium that we have the waves made out of, it's 0.4 millimeters, and I can get that down. We can make that a third of that or less. We can make the waves a lot less, and I was actually thinking about doing some skeletonizing of the waves, putting like a zigzag in there, kind of a wave look into there, just with a jeweler's saw going in there and cutting out some of that. Anything that we can do to lighten the waves at this point would help. So it's good news in that we can reshape the cam and lighten the waves considerably. Of course, as soon as I tip this upright, it stops because of the weight of the waves pressing the paw against the cam. So the hope is that lightening the long arm of the wave would be a real help. I considered the other alternatives we talked about in a couple of my own about how the paws engage with the cam. And for the time being, I'm going to stick with this arrangement just because any other arrangement that I've come up with, including the one you came up with, increases the height of the mechanism. And we're going to have to try to keep this as thin as we can, at least around this central portion where also the sky is going to be rotating. So we need to keep that because of the close proximity to the center, even though the gearing in this stuff for the sky mechanism is going to be up here. We still have that one gear that is going to overlap a lot of this, which is going to it's going to be necessary to adjust the motion of the waves so it doesn't go colliding and knocking into that. Plus the arrangement, we're going to arrange this up to where the center hole is going to be somewhere up here as opposed to in the center. So the wave motion will have more room down at the 6 o'clock side. Anyhow, we don't want to stack too much on top of the cam, because that's where the sky, regardless of whether we move the center post up or not, this moves in proportion to that, and the sky is still going to be overlapping that cam, so we need something to slide in underneath the sky, and that's why this arrangement with the paws, the way that I've done it, as opposed to the pin that you discussed, it is the thinnest arrangement, the thinnest way to make this happen. Still not perfect, still not exactly the way we want it, but we're moving in the right direction, and that's a good thing. And so I thought I would quick make this video so you could see where I'm at right now, and we'll take it from here. Till next time.